Tonight, we're going to talk about a story that relates to OMS, Old Man Syndrome. And I'm Annalie.
And I'm Patricia.
And we're the 50s. Today, we're going to talk about a channel that is run by ISIS. Is that the channel name?
It's the Trophy Wife.
The Trophy Wife,
Yes.
Okay. Where she is teaching, I'm going to say young women.
Yeah.
So we need not apply. Teaching them how to be trophy wives, or rather, maybe like sugar babies.
Well, no, I think she's more trying to teach them how to marry.
Okay, so the goal is to marry.
Yes, how to marry a wealthy provider.
It seems though that
man.
A lot of the things that I've seen where, the sugar babies are, tutoring,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them do end up finding the one sugar daddy that they want, that's rich enough, that treats them the best, that kind of thing, and then they settle down.
Well, money wise.
Yes, that's the whole point.
But with this story, Isis, she fashions herself to be the trophy wife, and this is a story that has been trending on YouTube, and her video went viral. I think there's 2 million, last I checked, 2 million views, where she is describing some information that is unfortunate that happened, while married to her dream provider guy.
So because I'm not familiar with this, but so when it first started, when she first married him, it was all hunky-dory, I'm guessing?
Well, no, she kind of goes into the history of how they met and everything. She details all that in her videos.
Mm-hmm.
And because this story has been trending, there's been a gazillion amount of YouTubers, content creators that have covered it. Mm-hmm. And they have provided some of the background information too, like saved a lot of people from having to go back and watch all the other videos. But as far as I know, she has already deleted all her videos.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
People have gone back and got information from her videos. And so she deleted all of them except, I believe, the one that everyone is reacting to, the one where she is talking about I married a monster. That one. I think that one was the only one that was left.
So why do you figure she did that? Like, because they were reacting poorly, and they were kind of pulling information from
to
that
hold against her. Yes,
okay, yes,
to hold against her.
Yes.
But yeah, because there are two different factions or different opinions about the story. One is holding her accountable as a parent, and one is, an outrage saying that we shouldn't be blaming the victim, kind of thing. So there's two different factions out there in YouTube world.
Okay. But
for us, we're primarily concerned with the OMS angle.
Yes. Yes, because I feel, it seems like a lot of people have covered this, so this would be just a different perspective of it, where we're mainly just looking at, us as 50 plus women out there dating. We should beware of this kind of guy, because they're out there.
Yes, they are.
These are the guys that are mad at us too, because they're mad at us for having to buy us dinner because they just got all their money took. So,
yeah, they are very disgruntled. So just a little backstory, if you don't know the story about Isis, the trophy wife. She is, I think she was 24. She met her husband, who was 20 years older. Now she's 29 and he's in his early 50s, I believe. I think when she was 20, I don't know how to do that math. I think he was in his late 40s. And they met, and I'm not going to all the details so you can get that on.
Wait, he would be 54.
No, when
No, wait.
No,
44.
Yeah.
Okay, 44.
20 years.
Yep.
So, okay, yeah, 44 when they met. And then I think they were together for a number of years. Today, or the day she did the video, she was 29. So I think he's 50, give or take. But yes, so she met this guy who was out there looking for, in his profile, they met online on what do you call it?
eHarmony.
Yes, eHarmony. And he had, and because these YouTubers, they are like detectives, they know how to get the information. On his profile, he put from ages 18 to 40. So
he was clearly not looking for.
Yes, he was 18. So there you go. So she was 24. They met, and it was very quickly. They ended up getting married. She needed a place to stay. Let me back up. She has 2 children, 2 boys when she met him.
So very young mother.
Yes, very young. And she had her first child when she was 17. So, and the fathers of those 2 kids, there's 2 different fathers for those kids. But she met him online.
Was she ever married before?
No, not anyone. No one said that she was. Okay. And yeah, all this information I'm getting from other content creators. Yeah. So it's nothing I know firsthand. So she met, they had it, went out, got along, whatever. They were seeing other people. And at some point she met someone else, was living with him, wasn't getting along. I guess he wasn't getting along with her kids. So she calls this guy up and says, I need a place to stay. And so he says, and this is out of her own mouth, he says, well, if you're going to stay with me, you're going to be my wife. And so,
because he's got morals.
Yes, you got to be married. And so they ended up getting married, and it was very quick, a very quick timeline. And they ended up getting married, and, apparently he has to take care of her, what she was looking for. And she was having this wonderful fairy tale life, says she, and then she started the YouTube channel, The Trophy Wife, teaching these young girls how to find their provider male and live the fancy, good life.
So I'm just guessing, though, then during the initial portion of her YouTube channel, the one that she erased, it was a fairly positive as far as how she was happy, she had money.
Oh yeah, she was saying everything was about her being happy, him being the perfect man. I mean, hyping him up, her life, everything was wonderful. Yeah. Never any indication that anything was
awry.
Yeah, just she had her game face on the whole while. As far as no one has found anything to the contrary. And so they're doing fine, whatever. They have 2 kids. They have a little girl, well, 2 girls, their 2-year-old and 4-year-old now. And she recently had a son. Just in the last few months, I believe, she gave birth to a son. Now, I think that video, the one where she says, I married a monster, I think that was done, that time frame, I think was a few months ago. But the video, I think it was recently, what do you call it?
Went viral?
Yes. Yeah. But I think the timeline, I don't know the whole timeline, but it was maybe a few months ago because she had already had the baby.
Right.
And so it comes out in the video for those of you that have seen it, because I think most everybody's seen it now, that that her oldest daughter, who's age 4, had said that she had been, well, she noticed when she was changing her that there was some
redness and irritation.
Right. And so, and I guess,
which is very common for children, as we all know who are parents.
Yes. And I guess there was some,
but she immediately, she says in the video, she immediately thought, has somebody touched her?
Right.
And in her adult mind, she's thinking sexually.
Right. And she also disclosed that she has a history of.
Oh, so that's
just. So that could have been hyper vigilant. Yeah. So yeah, she gets that information, and then everything just, became a whole big thing on YouTube. That video set everything. I think I don't know how many videos covering it. And so
and by the way, I wasn't trying to minimize what she was saying. However, what she's saying, the way she's saying it, is not exactly how one would ask a child about such things, because it's very leading, and it really kind of brings in her experience rather than
and she could have been triggered.
But yes, absolutely, yes. And most people don't know how to interview kids.
They don't. And we have we work Child Protective Services at one time. So, we know about those things. And we can speak on it. Yes. But so that came out, and now she is distraught. I guess the marriage at this point is over. Her husband filed for divorce. And there are a whole lot of other things going on. I mean, there are people that don't believe her because it seems that her story seemed to be shaky in areas. There was a relative, a niece of her husband, that came out and said that she was not being truthful and gave other history of things. And of course,
there's always that question, because it seems like she said that she was raped even before she had the children.
Right. By her husband 4 times.
And then you're wondering, well, first of all, why are you staying in the marriage? Yes. Why are you continuing to have children with this rapist? And also, why are you creating these positive videos
during the time? That's the thing that people can't abide, is during that time frame that all this is going on, she's standing in front of the camera and she's telling them, you can have what I have, and there's history, there's DV allegations. They've done protective orders on each other, tried to, it's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's a big mess.
And then you count in, like, obviously this girl, especially if she has had sexual abuse in her childhood, there's definitely, typically, at least, there's mental health issues involved in that. And
but it's a mess. It's a mess. And who knows when the truth is going to come out.
That's what's so sad for the children. But we're not going to concentrate on
that is not our focus. Our focus, we just want to give, for those of you that haven't seen it or know anything about it, some little background. Our focus is on the thing that we normally talk about on our channel, and it's about what we call OMS, old man syndrome. These older men, seeking these young girls, young teenage to 20-year girls to partner with. And it becomes not unlike this situation. You have a young girl who is in a desperate situation. She needs a place to stay. She needs resources. And she knows that an old man is going to give her all those things with little effort.
And just it sounds to me that she was in a fix.
Yes.
Seems like. So here she is. She's in a fix. And here's somebody that can literally save her.
Yes, in her mind, yes.
And get her, a nice home. Yeah. All these
marry her. She doesn't have to work or do anything, just show up as herself.
So
and for this man who's in his 50s and 60s, on his dating site, 1840, which is crazy. He's
well, wait, he was 44 then.
Yeah, at the time that he met.
But I wonder and here's then what we would want to know, his dating site profile now, what would it say? Would it say age 18 to 40?
And I believe there was a YouTuber that found that out. He's on sites now. I don't know how they found it out, but he's on there now, and it's 18 to 40.
I didn't change that.
It's 18 to 40. But yes, and it could say that.
Well, you know what? At least that will save us.
Oh yeah,
as a group,
we won't have to be.
We won't have to deal with him. Yeah, because at least he just sticks with what he does.
Yes. So good. That is a positive.
The cautionary tale for us would be if you encounter these kind of guys, right? And I think how to assess the situation, the prior situations, and where he is at now. Is he dateable?
Right. And because there's a mindset here. It's not just, it's not anything cute to be, he just likes you. No, there's a mindset. If you are in your 50s, 60s, I would say even a 40-year-old going after a teenager or a young 20-year-old, to me, it's the same thing. But I don't normally speak about 40-year-olds because that's not my demographic. But even those guys, same thing. If you are seeking a young girl, there are reasons, and none of them are good. Yes. None of them are good. I don't care what anybody says. For you to seek a teenager or a young 20-year-old for partnership, and you have a big age, you have big experience, it is about power and control, exploitation, all those things. Young girls are not naturally attracted to old men. It just is what it is. And I think in Isis' situation, which I don't think anyone has said, and this is just my opinion, when she speaks about being essayed by him on 4 occasions early in the marriage, to me, that's indicative of a young girl that's not attracted to an old man. And I can see, although obviously we don't know if this actually happened or if it's true, but it makes sense to me that this young girl who's not attracted to this old man would not want to have sex with him. It just makes sense. And he would, because that's the reason, more than likely, he's seeking these young ones, is to control them and for their youth and their attractiveness. So it's not far from anything that I, wouldn't be able to accept as reality.
So when you look at a guy like this, evaluate his intentions. When he was dating this younger person, was it about control? Was it about ego? Was it about mutual connection?
And not with a
nope.
A young 20-year-old.
No. But whatever, it's more likely power of control, ego. What else? Well, just the superficial.
Yeah, just because they're young. Of it. Yeah, because they're young.
Yeah.
And it was something I was going to say about went right out my head. Right out my head, something you had just said about the.
Well, why the shift now? Determine why is he now pursuing an age appropriate relationship? That's what we need to look at. Right. Of course, this guy, fortunately, is not, at least not right now. Maybe in 10 years, who knows? He might be a danger to somebody then, but it seems like he's sticking to it right now. But what we need to ask ourselves is, what made him change? Was it genuine maturity, or was it a reaction to something external, such as she took all my money? Right. Or, whatever the case may be.
They won't stay with them past the thing. And that's what happens. They cheat on them with younger men. Those things happen. But that is a good point. If you are going to even entertain someone that does that, or at least find out where their head is, because it is the mindset that we need to be.
And I guess we should say
careful about.
We should say that we wouldn't even recommend it.
Not
in
the
all. First place.
Not at all.
I guess that should be said. But we don't recommend it. But if you're looking at it and you're thinking about it, at least ask yourself these questions.
Yeah. I know what I was going to say when you were saying when you're asking or assessing the rationale. Obviously, they're not going to say, because I want to control this young girl, and they're not going to say any of those things. But you can, when you ask the questions, you can, if they say, we just had the so-called connection, we had a lot in so-called common. Okay, obviously that's BS. So then you would not I wouldn't entertain any of that mess. I don't know what they could say. Maybe, I realized that I was being ridiculous or whatever. I don't know. And I've come to my sense.
Maybe most indicative that you should run is if they say, because we had so much in common.
Oh yeah, because there's absolutely
because what did you have in common with a little girl
And if you actually did, your
maturity
yes,
level is
then you're not acceptable.
right.
Just off that, just off if you really did have a connection on that level with a young girl, a teenager or a young 20-year-old, then you're not even acceptable. You're no one I can even have a conversation with in reality. So those questions are good. Those are good questions to, if, like I said, if you're entertaining it, for sure.
Yes. And for ourselves, if we're looking at somebody like this, make sure you stick to your self-worth and confidence.
Boundaries.
Don't compare yourself to his past partners. Your age and experience has value in it. And make sure you're celebrated for who you are, and that you're not just some kind of fallback and safety person.
Yeah, you're not a, what do you call it? Well, not even not just a fallback, but also a placeholder.
Yes.
Until the next one comes along. So you definitely don't want to be a placeholder, because if they're still in the mindset and they're settling, well, I know I can't, keep one of the young ones, so I guess I'll go with one of the older ones.
And what do you think? What are some of the signs? Do you think that if you are with someone like this and they're still, you're the placeholder, and they're,
how do you know you're a placeholder?
Yes, some of the signs and symptoms.
Well, they're one of the most obvious is if wherever you go, they're looking at the younger one. They want to go places where young people are. That's a big one. If they want to be staying out late at night, that kind of thing.
Going to the clubs, where the kids
are. That's it. To me, that is definitely one of the biggies. And I know because I've experienced someone that were doing those kinds of things, and definitely always looking at the young ones and doing it in a way where it's not so obvious, like mentioning something about a young girl. Like, why are you even mentioning it? There's no reason why an old man need to be mentioning anything about a young girl. And also not only wanting to be with the young girls, but also trying to entertain the young boys, trying to, be in the crowd, be with the young folks. Someone like that is definitely indicative of, okay, we're OMSing all over the place here. So, yeah.
And another thing that I think you should look out for is if the guy is constantly saying stuff like, well, you look good for your age.
Yes.
Or if he's like talking about you and he's saying, well, she's over 50, but she looks
cute. Or also if they want you to wear certain type of clothing.
Yes. I didn't think about that.
Certain type of clothing.
Okay.
Because trying to look a certain age group, that kind of thing. But yeah, those things are definitely things to look for.
Yep.
Because it's hard for me to believe, even when they're burned, even when their money is, they lose all their money and the girls don't want them, they catch them with their real boyfriend, all that mindset, the big thing is that mindset is still there. They might realize intellectually, well, yeah, this just ain't gonna work. This is my 10th one. It didn't work. But the mindset is there, it's still there. So I don't even know how you could reprogram.
I don't know.
Because the mindset is there. So I wouldn't want to deal with or waste my time with them.
There must be some recovering OMS guys out there, or they ran out of money.
Well, who would want that?
But nobody wants that. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm sure there are exceptions
where they actually are thinking rationally and being like, well, they don't actually want to be with me. They have had some kind of realization. Yeah, like, but that's what you need to assess, right, when you're looking at somebody like this.
If you're entertaining it.
It's one thing that I was thinking about today is when I was looking at some of these videos when they're promoting the being a sugar baby. And of course, when I was young, I got many offers. I didn't even think about it. I just walked away because you're like my dad. I would still advocate for women to stay away from that because you have a limited time on this earth and an even smaller time when you're young and healthy. Right. And
yes.
And that time,
yes, it's going to be wasted on an old guy.
Is something you're not going to get back.
Nope. And you're going to be used and abused and wake up in your 40s.
Can you imagine just being with old guys all your life?
Well,
like,
yeah.
Okay, I'm just.
Yeah, no, it's
right. You're 20. You're with a 50-year-old. You're 30. You're with a 60. Like, it just.
Yeah, it's crazy to me.
But unless you become a cougar later in life, and then yes,
and then you go for the
and
young
then you
guy.
Win.
And maybe that's where the cougars.
Yes,
maybe that's where they come from.
My God.
And then it would make sense. Maybe that's how cougars are made. And that does make sense.
That would make sense.
That does make sense. Once you come out of that relationship with that old guy, your mindset is still, I want the young guy. I was young. I
didn't get my young guy when I was young. I'm going to get it now.
Yeah, and that's an interesting perspective.
Red flags and patterns to look out for. Watch for signs he may still crave dynamics where he holds the upper hand.
Yes. And that is a part of it, the power and control. Mm-hmm. Being able to, you can control a child. You know, you can control
and if he's like, a sign would be that he wouldn't accept you having any control or say in things.
Yes.
And then that would be a very red flag. Gauge if he has the capacity to relate to you on an equal and emotionally mature level.
That is another sign. Yeah. I think I've run into one of those guys where it seemed to me that our conversation, he was not able to have what I consider an adult conversation. And I assess that, okay, he's used to talking to kids because he can't even engage in an adult appropriate conversation. So definitely.
Yep. And ensure he doesn't try to dominate you. Assess his views on aging. Big one.
That is making comments about women.
Has he shown signs that he's embracing aging, or does he glorify youth?
Yes, that is a good one, because I've run into those guys and they're acting like, and I'm like, man, you look 10 times old.
And now,
but you're over here trying to act like you're.
Of course, I think we all appreciate youth, but not to glorify it, not to be okay with your own aging. Because if you're not dealing with it and you're still trying to live like you're 20, that's a red
sign.
That's
a problem. Like one guy, it was so juvenile and ridiculous. I think I'm sure we just did a meetup, because I don't remember anything past the meetup. He was bragging about the fact that he would, in his neighborhood, he had a golf cart. And he would be bragging about the fact that all the young people would hang out at his house, and they would ride in his golf cart and this and that. And I'm like, why are you a 50, 60-year-old man hanging around teenagers and 20-year-olds? Like trying to relive something that didn't happen in high school. They get stuck in that. I know. Who wants to deal with that? It's sad. It's a sad situation.
Consider whether his lifestyle, values, and interests align with yours now, rather than just superficially.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And that's my thing now. The values have to align.
I think we both realized that the values was a biggie.
Yeah, and they have to be discussed and identified right off rip, because the long term can't happen if those values are not in alignment. They just can't. Well, I know not for me.
Yeah, no, I don't think
they cannot.
Nope.
And somebody with the mindset of exploiting, in my opinion, is exploitation. And majority, and I'm gonna just call it a duck for sex, a young girl, because they know that they can easily manipulate a young girl. And they know some of these young girls are looking for money, like the trophy wife, looking for that guy to take care of them, buy them things. And I don't have a problem with women looking for a provider male, because men are providers. However, from 18, young 20s partnering with an old man, red flags. That's not a normal type. A young girl is not attracted to an old man. It is not. They're not. I don't care. That old man can psych himself up to think, oh, I look young. No, you don't. You look your age. And that young girl is not attracted to you. She's with you just for your money. That's not even a healthy situation.
So how do you discover these kind of things about your partner that you're dating if he is an OMS guy? And you have to ask him directly about his previous relationships, what he learned from them, and just details about those relationships, because transparency builds trust.
Yeah, absolutely. I always ask the relationships, and when they say things that, okay, I'm like, that sounds like a young girl. How old was she? And then they say, and there's always a young girl. This one guy was telling me that one of his girlfriends, without even telling me her age, he said they traveled to a wedding, and the young girl, I guess with her friends, they were going to a wedding out of country, and the friends, they were talking amongst themselves because they didn't want, this is so child, they didn't want one of the girls' boyfriends to come because she was going to break up with him. So instead of telling him that, they were all having the guy, see, it's getting convoluted now. The whole thing was, instead of being upfront with the guy, they were all saying, you tell him, all kind of silly, immature, and then that boy and that man, it was a man, ended up going, and it became this whole big thing. And he's saying, well, I don't know why they did that. That was just, I said, because they're kids. And that's what kids do. How old was she? And boom. She was, I think, a young 30 something. But I'm like, yeah. And you're in your late 50s.
This made me think of a thing that was happening in 90 Day Fiancé, where this young 30-year-old in Brazil meets up with this guy from Chicago, and he's, I forget exactly how old, but I want to say late 40s, no, early 51. And he, of course, had put on his profile that he was 45. But that wasn't the issue at that particular point in time. The issue was that she hadn't asked him, so he hadn't told her that he had 4 failed marriages, and he was still married to one of them.
Well, then there's 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. 4 or 5. I can't remember, but it was a big number, and she was shocked. She's like, "What? You didn't tell me that?" And then it shows him going, "Well, I didn't lie because she didn't ask me."
Yeah. You can lie by omission, clearly. So he don't understand about, well, he does understand.
Of course, he also did say that, because she asked him, how come you put that you were 45 on your dating profile when you're really 51, like my dad? And he said, because I don't want no 50-year-old female looking at my profile.
Yeah, he sure don't. He sure didn't.
There it is. OMS.
And hopefully he'll get what he deserves. The girl he deserves. Hopefully he will. And good, because we don't want that 50-year-old.
We do not want
looking at your profile either. So
nope,
good.
Stay away.
Everybody wins.
Yes, indeed.
Definitely.
Yep.
But that's good. That was good.
This one is good. Set boundaries, which I think you already touched upon. Establish clear boundaries if you sense comparisons to younger partners or inappropriate expectations of you.
Yeah.
That he expects you to be a 20-year-old.
Yes, and to look like a 20-year-old.
And to look like a 20-year-old.
And not to have, and have your lines and all of that.
I think that's one of the most important things said here, because, and if those boundaries are broken, run. Don't stay.
run. If they, yeah.
And I'm not going to say, I mean, have I ever stayed and broken my boundaries? Yes.
yes,
And that's why we're saying don't.
Yes, it's best not to, clearly.
Yes, it's not like we haven't made mistakes. I think one of the biggest reasons we're doing these
Yes,
videos is because we've made mistakes and we don't want everybody to have to go through these mistakes also.
And the boundary thing is a big thing. And we didn't used to, I know I didn't used to say that out loud. I knew that there were things that I decided, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not, but to give them, to identify what it is. Yes. That is better. That's more cemented. And this, I'm not crossing this.
Yes. I mean, there were some loosey-goosey ones that I had that weren't so important. But
the core ones,
core values, those boundaries, don't break those. Those are the ones you don't want to mess with. And trust your instincts. If something feels off,
it's off. It's off.
You're probably right.
It's off.
If your son, if he makes you feel bad about yourself or your age, something off.
Yes,
something's not right.
Because there's no way we benefit from feeling bad about ourselves based off what somebody else is saying.
No.
Especially this guy is aged just like we have. Like we are so hard on ourselves. And this man over here is looking 10 times worse than we are. Let me rephrase that because we're not looking worse.
No.
10 times. Okay. And this man over here is looking 10 times as old as we are. Like, I hate that for us. And I know we all do it. But we just got to break out of that. No. They're not going to, we're not going to feel a certain way based off of what they're saying and doing. We're just not. We are not.
I think that's why we see so many women overdoing fillers and and doing all the things. That's why we're overdoing it. I'm not, because I actually, a little bit of this and that. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to say nothing.
Oh gosh, Botox.
But when the overdonedness of it
can't be recognized.
Yes, when you start looking like
something
Jenner, then
yes,
something went awry, and we have to feel good about ourselves, and we should still look like ourselves.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's nothing wrong with
and staying with a guy who will reinforce that you are good enough as you are, and that it is okay to age.
Yes, because that's natural. That's science. That's natural. That's biology. That's all the things. Like we are going to age, and
unless that becomes. I just watched Death Becomes Her. Look at that.
But yeah, it's not a bad thing, And I like the fact that I'm way smarter than I used to be. Like I'm more confident than I used to be. I think I'm like this amazing person, and I don't think I used to be. I don't think I used to be. I know I'm smarter, I'm wiser. Yeah. So,
well, and we have all these life experiences to bring to the table. We have everything. We have so much to bring.
Yes, absolutely. And it takes a real man, like we say, the grown man. The grown man is the one that's going to appreciate all those things. Yeah, the OMS now, he's not. And we don't care. And we don't care. And we shouldn't feel away because he isn't. Because we don't want him anyway.
Another way to spot an OMS guy is a guy that's older that has a 3-year-old. Like,
oh yeah, the kids. That's a dead ringer. Yeah.
You don't even have to ask.
You just turn around.
There it is.
Exit. Yes. Yes. And that is one of the things when guys, when I talk to them or match with them, whatever, and they have small kids. Yeah, that's a no for me. That's a no. First of all, I don't want to be dealing with small kids. And I know you are an OMS, and I'm not some little young girl. So I know you don't want me.
It's
for
funny.
Real.
It's funny too, because a lot of these guys that are OMS actually probably didn't want to have new young kids.
Yeah, who wants to have small kids and you're 50, 60?
Nobody going to their high school graduation at 75. Like, these are things that we don't typically like to do.
And they would never be able to retire. How are you going to retire? You got a child you got to raise. But
Yeah.
But that was good that you brought that in, because we definitely needed to add that to the story of the trophy wife. And again, we're not really focusing on, the ins and the outs of that.
I feel like that is just a big mess, and nobody knows what
the truth is. Yeah, we don't have an opinion.
We're not saying she, we're not saying he.
Yeah.
All we were probably saying is that nobody should be dating that man.
Guy, an OMS guy that's out here trolling 18-year-old teen.
That's all. So that's all we're focusing on. Everything else we're letting the other people deal with.
Yes, and hopefully the kids weren't harmed, or not going to be harmed, or will not be harmed anymore.
Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, that OMS guy, you have to be on the lookout for him.
Yes, beware.
And
yes, because we have to. That's probably the best self-care we can do for ourselves, is to steer clear of these OMS guys, because they're not going to make you feel good about yourself.
No.
And why would you want to be with a partner that doesn't make you feel good?
Yeah. And they're just placeholding you until they can convince, manipulate, or coerce the next young girl that is needing a place to live or needing resources.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So
let us know what you think about that.
Yeah.
What's your take on it? And what are other red flags that you would be looking for? Or maybe tell us your story, if you have one.
With an OMS.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget to subscribe.
Yes, definitely subscribe.
Give us your thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Oh, did we?
Yeah. And what else? Oh, and comment.
Yes.
Comment.
We love engagement. We love it.
And we also want to note that we have started a Patreon.
Oh, yes.
Where we're going to have extra awesome content.
Yes, exclusive content that you won't find on here.
Yes.
And
because we probably get cut if we had that content on here.
Yes, and the link will be in the description so you can start signing up so we can get it built up.
Yep.
And we also have a cup of coffee. If you could buy us a cup of coffee, we have that on the description as well. To help us grow our channel.
Yep.
To get, to help us grow our channel.
Everything's appreciated, and we appreciate all of our subscribers and watchers.
Yes, we do.
And until next time, don't forget to live,
laugh,
and connect.
And it's not gonna work because I have my glove. I'm not going to do.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.